Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this third webinar that we've scheduled on the different aspects of architecture, partnerships, and scaling, and culture of innovation. We're really pleased that you've joined us. I wanted to give you just a couple of minutes intro to the reason why we're discussing scaling today and where this is all leading. Just at the beginning of this meeting, and then I'll turn straight over to Susan and our guests who are going to tell us about a lot of different interesting examples of scaling in the organization of the UN system. So my name is Robert Opp. I'm the Director of Innovation and Change Management for World Food Programme. I also co-chair the Innovation Network along with Chris Fabian of UNICEF. And the starting point for all of these webinars is that the Secretary General has put innovation as a priority for his tenure as Secretary General, and has made it clear that he wants the UN to grapple not only with how we confront new technologies and the opportunities and risks that they pose, but also he wants to foster a mindset of innovation across the UN system. And at the last Chief Executives Board meeting in May, he set aside half a day to discuss this with the senior leaders of the UN. And we structured that conversation around three main pillars: architecture of innovation, so meaning the structures and processes that can promote innovation; the partnerships, which are critical for enabling and facilitating innovation to bring expertise into the organization and ensure that we have maximum impact; and then the culture of innovation as well. And we had a very good discussion with the executive heads around all of these issues. And next slide, please, Susan. And we ended up presenting that session by presenting 12 recommended actions that the UN system could take. This slide shows a very summarized version of those. But it was really meant to give a list of the very concrete things that the executive heads and their organizations could do to really strengthen innovation and that foster that innovation mindset across the UN system. And so you see different recommendations there related to the pillars we talked about: architecture, partnership, and culture. And where we have actually structured these webinars is according to these recommendations that we've made. Next slide, please, Susan. So the Secretary General had a very specific ask at the end of the Chief Executives Board, and that was to create an innovation toolkit that could be used to facilitate the emergence of innovation mindset in the UN system. And he wanted it to be brought back to the next CEB session, which we'll be doing in November when it comes up. And you'll notice that the three core pillars on this slide, numbers 2, 3, and 4, actually were the pillars that we discussed in the first Chief Executives Board. And so they have become the core modules of the toolkit. But we really also realized as we sat back and thought about this, that we needed also to have modules on strategy, so how you actually really place innovation in terms of an overall strategy and direction, as well as evaluation, how you really review and understand the results you're getting from innovation. And so together with the support of Deloitte, we are actually active building these toolkits, or this toolkit. The webinars that we are having now, today's and the previous webinars, as well as several of the future webinars, really are giving us a lot of the input that we need to build up the center pillars of the module, or sorry, of the toolkit. And each one will focus on a module. So Susan, next slide, please. If we drill down on the architecture module of the toolkit, you'll see here that there are 4 different aspects that we're looking at. How to scan for different approaches and innovations, how to design a balanced portfolio of innovations, how to scale solutions that are showing promise, and how to ensure that we are, to a maximum extent possible, integrating innovation into the organizations. And so this particular webinar is going to zoom in on the scaling issue, which is, of course, of immense importance to all of us, because if we are not able to get to scale with innovations, then we're not going to have the impact that we possibly could have. And that is really what we're all here as a UN system to do. So with that short intro, I just want to say that thank you again for joining us. We really appreciate and need your support and input for these webinars. And as we approach the next CEB, which is going to be in November, we will have another half-day session where we will be discussing and showing some of the contents of the toolkit. It's not finished yet. This is very much a work in progress. And the work is happening right now as we speak. So thanks again, and Susan, I'll turn back over to you.